It's time to fire this thing up.
Welcome aboard ShipShape TV Essentials. This is your port of call for the most impactful upgrades, expert advice, and hands-on solutions from seasons past. This episode is proudly brought to you by SureHold, because anything worth doing is worth doing bright. From cleaning to protecting and perfecting, SureHold has everything you need to keep your boat shining. Don't just go boating, go showboating. Now, let's hoist anchor and set a course for another exciting episode of ShipShape TV Essentials.
If boating's your game, then you'll agree. ShipShape is the way to be. Out on the lake or on the sea, ShipShape means trouble-free. ShipShape means being neater. ShipShape makes boat work easier. ShipShape is the way to go. The ShipShape Boat Care Show.
ShipShape, South Florida's only boat improvement show, is being brought to you in part by Boat Owners Warehouse, Everything Marine, and by Cable Marine, where our qualified people make the difference, and by RPM Diesel Engine Company, much more than an engine company, and by Yacht Interiors by Shelley. When extra is needed, extra is given.
Thanks for tuning in to ShipShape, the Boat Improvement Show. I'm your host, John Greviskis, and this is my partner, Burt Dell.
Howdy, folks.
We'd like to welcome a new station that's carrying ShipShape, WCTD TV 35 in Miami and Fort Lauderdale.
Thanks for tuning in.
Today's show's about the props on your boat. It's been said that the majority of the props out in the water have the improper propellers on them.
If you're having a hard time getting your boat up on plane, or you think a valve job is an annual event, you probably have the wrong prop on your boat.
One of the things we try to do here at ShipShape is get you, the audience, involved in the show. If you have a suggestion for a project that you'd like to see covered here on the show, write us a letter or send us a fax.
Write your project suggestions to ShipShape, the TV show. Attention Project Director, Post Office Box 31561, Palm Beach Gardens, Florida 33420. Or fax us at area code 407-626-4348.
And when we come back from this short break from our sponsors, we're going to introduce you to Bobby Souls, owner of Bobby Souls Propeller Shops. This man knows propellers, so stick around.
Don't drift away. ShipShape will be right back.
Hi, I'm John Greviskis with ShipShape TV. Look at this guy and all the products he needs to maintain his boat. I guarantee you he'll be tripping over that stuff all day long. Forget that nonsense. Use what I use, the SureHold family of products, the one handle that does it all. Any one of these quality-built SureHold attachments easily locks right into place, and here's the best part. They're the best quality items money can buy. You have my word on it. Whether it's for your car, truck, RV, or boat, keep it ship-shape with SureHold products.
I'm in West Palm Beach, Florida today, and with me is Bobby Souls, the owner of Bobby Souls Propeller Shops. Bobby, thanks so much for having us out today.
Thanks for having us, John.
Bobby, we want to find out a little bit more about props, and I was wondering how many different choices are there?
Well, you have a lot of choices today because you have 3 blades, 4 blades, 5 blades. You've got different alloys, aluminum, stainless, bronze, Nibral, and you've got cupped wheels, pitch.
Whoa, wait a minute. Bobby, let's back up here a little bit. There's quite a bit to props. Can we maybe take a look at every single issue? Say, for example, pitch. Can you explain to me what pitch is?
Well, pitch is something that we measure in degrees or angle, and it's the actual angle of the blade. And if you take this wheel, and if you had 20 inches of pitch in this blade, and you screwed this into a solid substance, it would move 20 inches.
One revolution.
One revolution would go 20
into
inches.
Into a solid substance,
right.
20 inches.
But
now, what about in water?
Well, water, you've got slippage, and you don't have the solid substance, so you have to look at slippage.
Now, what kind of percentage or whatever would we be looking at with slippage?
An average slippage would vary somewhere between 15 and 25%.
15 to 25%. Right. So one revolution of that prop in water, if it was a 20-degree pitch, would be about a 15-inch
Yeah.
movement?
15 to 16 inches
Okay.
is all that prop would move forward
Alrighty.
because it is in water.
Now, is there any way to alleviate some of that slippage?
You can use diameter. If it's available, you can get a little bit larger diameter wheel or blade area, or you can get into cupping. And
Now, what's cupping?
cupping is the trailing edge of a propeller that it actually is cambered. We camber the blade or the edges on it so that it holds water on the blade. And it won't sling the water off the blade as easy. It makes the wheel work harder and returns. It's almost like adding pitch, but it makes the blade more efficient. So
it just kind of holds the water to the edge of the propeller.
Right, keeps it from slinging it off of the blade so easy.
And that slows down your slippage.
Right.
Now, what kind of slippage savings would you have with cupping, Bobby?
Well, it all depends a lot on the rig or on the boat, the size, the weight. Cupping can move anywhere from 5 to 10 to 15%. It just depends on the situation. All these are theoretically stuff that you need to mess with until you find out what it will do.
Okay, you were saying something about diameter. How do you determine what diameter prop you put on your boat?
Well, diameter is, let's take it as diameter is power, pitch is your speed.
Okay.
Diameter is something that is the actual size of the blade. It's the square inches of the blade size. Now, if you can increase it, as the heavier a boat becomes, the more diameter and blade area that you need.
Okay.
The smaller the boat, the less blade area and diameter that you need, because the lighter loads, you don't need a lot of blade to carry it, but the heavier the boat, you need a bigger blade.
Okay. Okay. Well, that really explains diameter. What about some of the different alloys that are available in props?
In outboards, you've got aluminum and stainless steel. And in inboards, you've got your manganese bronze and you've got your Nibral. You know, and if you get into the outboards, you get into your stainless propellers, you have aluminum, which is a standard equipment wheel. If you want to go faster and have a little more efficient, a little more performance, you can get into your stainless wheels, which are thinner section blades.
Okay.
And they
Now, what's
will,
the advantage of that?
well, it's easier to pass it through the water because the blades are thinner, and it just makes the easier to turn it.
So if you use an analogy of like your hand going through the water, if it's open, it isn't as easy to cut through.
Right.
You turn it on the side, and boom, you're going to be able to slice it.
That's the difference in thickness and thin.
Okay.
Because the thicker the blade is, the harder it is to crank it through the water.
Well, it seems like there's some real advantages to stainless props. Is there any downside?
Well, the downsizing to them, or the downside of them, is that if you happen to get in there or live in an area where you got a lot of reefs and rocks, stainless will destroy gear cases. If you happen to hit a reef running real hard, you can destroy your gear case. But if you live in shallow water, mud, sand, they're fantastic.
Okay.
Because they really are great in that situation.
Now, what about aluminum in shallow water and in sand and mud?
No, they're soft, they'll bend easy, and they'll wear out real quick.
So you're going to be replacing those blades?
Yes, you're going to be fixing them and replacing them often.
Cost-wise, what are we looking at of, say, an aluminum prop versus a stainless prop?
Well, like this aluminum wheel here, it's probably lists for about $135.
Okay.
And this one here is a 4-blade stainless, and they go for about $485.
Wow, there's quite a price consideration between
Yes.
aluminum
Yes, there is.
and stainless. When we're talking about the inboard props, Bobby, do you have cupping in inboard as well?
Yes.
Do you have the diameter? I mean, everything's pretty much.
Well, in inboards, you got better selection of propellers than you do in outboards. Outboards, you pretty much have to buy whatever the manufacturers make. In inboards, you can buy different diameters and different pitches so you can accommodate your situation. Outboards, you're pretty much tied to whatever they manufacture.
Don't sail away. ShipShape will be right back.
Why wax when you can Pro Polish? This premium protective wax from SureHold can be used on virtually any non-porous surface, such as cars, boats, RVs, home equipment, and more. Pro Polish is scientifically formulated to repel water, provide a deep, high-gloss shine, and protect surfaces from the effects of UV rays, salt water, and other harsh environmental elements. Unlike traditional waxes, Pro Polish contains no talc or fillers, which means easy wipe-on, wipe-off performance that doesn't clog up microfiber towels. Enjoy a new way to protect with SureHold's Pro Polish. SureHold, clean and simple.
John, I want to tell you a little story about one of our customers. He owned about a 40-foot boat, and he had owned it for 10 years, and he could not get the boat on a plane. And he brought his props in one day, and we got to talking, and he told me that he was going to trade the boat off and get one that would plane, because he was tired of going 10 knots back and forth to New York. So I went into some calculations, and we done some calculations and come up with a different wheel size for the power and the gear ratio he had. So we changed the wheels, put them on, and the guy was flabbergasted because for 10 years he never knew the boat would plane.
Wow.
And it was running about 25-mile-an-hour cruise once we got it fixed, and he was fascinated. So I guess today he still owns it.
That's
He
great.
never had to get rid of it.
So if you have the wrong size prop, that can actually do a lot of engine damage.
It can do, yes, it can. If your engine's not turning up properly, it'll burn valves. That's why it's important to look at your factory recommendation and try to keep the RPM in that general area, you know, of the factory recommendation.
Now, getting back into your the computer program that figures out that mathematical formula of what the right diameter is, and what the right pitch is, and what the right cup is. When you're talking about all these factors, is that something that you can explain, or is that real
No,
technical?
John, that's pretty technical. That gets into a lot of mathematical stuff, and it's a little complicated.
Okay, but RPM is real important.
Yes, RPM is very critical, because if you're getting 300 horsepower at 4,400 and you're only turning 3,500, you're probably only developing maybe 200, 250 horsepower.
So you're losing a lot of horsepower.
Yes, you're losing a lot of horsepower because you want the RPM to be up around the factory recommendation.
Well, great.
Then you develop your horsepower.
I noticed that you have some high-tech wheels. Can we go take a look at those?
Sure, come on.
Now, Bobby, I've never seen anything like this.
Yeah, John, this is some of the new high-tech propellers that are for inboards today. And we have a lot of the boats are using these. They're real high-tech.
Right. What does something like this run?
Well, with a standard wheel comparable to it, probably run about 3,000. And these particular wheels, like $17,000 a piece.
Oh my, that's a big price jump. Why so much more?
Well, John, these wheels are cut by machine. They're called CNC machine, and they are cut by machine, which means all of your angles, your pitch, and everything is literally cut by machine. It's
Right.
not done by hand or anything like that. So it's very time consuming, and it's all machine.
So this is kind of where the future of props is going.
Yes, it is. We have a lot of people that are starting to go to them. I think as time goes on, they'll become a little cheaper because they'll be able to produce them actually faster.
Well, I noticed that we have a 5-blade prop over here too, Bobby.
Yeah, this is one of the new high-tech 5-blades that people are running today.
Right.
And they're CNC cut, a lot of them, and they're very expensive too.
Okay.
They run anywhere from $10,000 to $15,000, $16,000 a piece.
Sure. Now again, with the 5-blade, you have more surface area
Yes.
being covered. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, with the bigger blades and the bigger blade area, they get into carrying the boat better. And the bigger the boat is, the more square inches of blade area you need in the water. And in this particular case, these came off of a 70-foot boat, and it needs it to carry the boat. It's very heavy.
Well, I noticed that you do a lot of prop repair, and Burt has a prop that needs to be repaired. How about if we turn it over to Burt and let him go through the process?
What we have here is a damaged prop that's been run aground. What we're going to do is lay it up on a pitch block. That way you can bring the blade back into its original shape. Inboard props are a little bit different than outboard props. You don't have the pitch block to conform the blades back into place. It takes a real craftsman to bring them back into place. Now we're we're going to be adding material to our damaged portion of our blade. This way we can grind the blade back down, bring it into shape, and it'll look like brand new.
The same process occurs when we're fixing an inboard prop. We're just using a different alloy.
Now we're going to grind off the excess material that we've added to our blade and bring it back into shape. Now we're at the point where we're going to be balancing our prop. Now if this prop was properly balanced, it would stay right there where it's at, but as you can see, it's starting to turn. That means it's out of balance. Robert's going to grind it into balance for us.
Now the only thing left is some cosmetic work. As you can see, the inboards really shine up nicely. I believe our prop is all set. Why don't we head on outside and we'll show you how to install one.
Okay, we're ready to drop on our reconditioned prop, but before we do that, you want to make sure that your thrust washer is definitely on your lower unit, because if it's not, your prop can, when you drop your prop on, it'll suck closer to your lower unit and it'll actually start eating away some of it. You don't want to do that. So let's go ahead and drop our prop on. We'll line it up here. There we go. Put on our washer. Get it lined up. And our castellated nut. And when you get ready to tighten it, to torque down the nut, take a block of wood. Bobby Souls taught me this trick, actually. Put it up against the lower unit like that. And you just crank on the nut. Line it up with the castellations in the nut, so you can slide your cotter pin in like so. There we go, that was easy. And we're ready to take this thing out and see how it rides with a reconditioned prop.
Chapman's Corner is brought to you by Chapman School of Seamanship.
Today on Chapman's Corner, we want to show you how not to blow yourself up when you're on board a gas vessel getting ready to get underway. First thing that I always do on board a gas boat is I open up my bilge compartments to let the natural air around here ventilate any gas fumes that may be settled in the bilge. Then I'm going to go ahead and stick my nose down in here, and your nose is your best sense unit. Stick it down as far as you can and just sniff, checking for any gas vapors. If I don't smell any gas vapors at this time, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn on my mechanical blower. I'm going to leave that blower on for approximately 5 minutes. This will remove any vapors that may be settled in the bottom of the bilge, keeping in mind that gas vapors are heavier than air. From Chapman School of Seamanship, this is Tom Dante.
With me today is Gary Oviatt, the owner of Oviatt Marine. Gary, thanks so much for having us out today.
Thank you, John.
Now, Gary, tell us a little bit about Oviatt. You're a yacht broker, you're a little bit different. Tell us why.
We're different because we handle a full range of boats from 25 feet to 80 feet. And our location is very special here at Harbortown Marina in Dania, Florida.
Mm-hmm. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at what boat?
We're going to look at a 62-foot Angel Marine motor yacht.
Well, let's head on downstairs and check it out.
John, this is one of my listings. It's a 62-foot Angel called Jewel, built in 1986 in fabulous condition with new all-grip paint. And it's really a vessel which has some of the best accommodations I've ever seen for a 62-foot vessel.
I'd like to introduce you to Joel Davidson, one of the brokers out here at Oviatt Marine. Tell us some of the amenities with this boat, Joel.
Well, this particular yacht has a huge king-size master aft and a huge head that goes along with that. And as well, it has a stand-up engine room, 3 staterooms forward, all with queen berths and their own head and showers, a very large salon and galley.
It's huge.
It's really bigger than a lot of people's homes or condos.
Now, why did they design the salon to be so big?
Well, this boat was designed really to have a lot of free space, and it was used for charter use in the Caribbean, and it was an extremely successful boat there. And in fact, the owner who originally had it built for himself, it's a one-owner vessel, was so successful with the boat that she certainly paid all her bills during her use.
So it was strictly used in a charter type situation out in the Caribbean. But who were some of the people that would be candidates to maybe buy this boat?
Well, I think that if you had a large family that wanted to do some long-distance cruising, or even a couple that wanted to have a tremendous amount of space, this boat would be absolutely ideal. And when you consider that replacement value for this vessel is over $1 million, that it can be bought for something around 40% of that, that it really is an indication of excellent value.
Becomes an incredible value. Now, how is the boat powered?
The boat has 355 horsepower Caterpillar turbos, and they're very fuel efficient, and in fact the vessel did come all the way from the Caribbean and burnt 720 gallons over 1,000 nautical miles, albeit at considerably lower cruising speeds than it could go, but no one was in a hurry and they just wanted to get here as safely and efficiently as possible.
That's some good efficiency.
Fantastic.
It really, really is. Now, this boat can be financed as a second home, is that correct?
Oh, there's no question about that, and also certainly it would make an incredible home for someone, and can take care of some other tax advantages as well.
Well, Gary, this is one great boat, and I just can't thank you for all the information.
Well, that's what yacht brokerage is all about. We're in the information business. We advertise heavily, and we're computerized in a large network of brokers. We also have a publication to keep our clients better informed. It's called Oviatt's Offshore Cruiser.
Okay.
And we have hundreds of boats described in here in detail.
Now, how does somebody get one of these?
Simply call our office and we'll be happy to put you on our mailing list.
Great. Well, Gary, I know that people come to you to buy boats, but I also know that your services are available for people that are searching for the boat to buy. And I just can't thank you enough for being on the show. Until next week.
Thank you, John.
Thanks so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Don't pull up anchor. ShipShape's coming right back.
The SureHold Soft Brush. Perfect for use on boats, cars and trucks, decks and patios, and even windows. Specially designed split-end bristles hold more soap and water for effortless and effective cleaning. Built-in safety bumper protects surrounding surfaces from accidental damage. The included 48-inch threaded wooded handle is sturdy, lightweight, and strong. Proudly made in the USA, the SureHold Marine Mate Soft Brush is the worldwide standard in deck brushes. SureHold. Clean and simple.
That's all the time we have for today's show. I hope it was informative.
And remember, when you're repairing an old prop, it's about 1/3 of the price of a new prop.
Bobby Souls wanted me to get a plug-in for a Stewart location, so there you go, Bobby. Hope you enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
All right, John, let's try this prop out.
Let's try it out. Well, Burt, everything seems to be shipshape.
Yeah, it comes out of the hole really nice.
Sure does.